What is going on, guys? I'm supcharls. I'm doing a commentary basically talking about the gunsync video that I now uploaded like a week ago or something like that, and talking about a few things that I now didn't get to mention on my video description because I thought it was getting a little bit too long, so I decided to save that for a commentary instead. And then I'm also quickly gonna talk about the walkthrough stuff because I'm obviously finished with SOCOM 4 now. So I'm gonna start off with the first thing, which is basically that I had missed doing it, and it is also something I mentioned in my video description on that video. I basically had missed doing gunsyncs because I wanted to do more, but I couldn't do it because I couldn't hit any clips at the time, so I decided to go with a sync where I would shoot out in the air, and that was kinda hard when I only had gunshots quickly from Modern Warfare 2 that I'd recorded years ago, because I've considered doing gunsyncs for years, just couldn't do it back then because I didn't have Sony Vegas and all, or Vegas Pro as it's now called, and because of that I decided to just save them. Maybe future wise I will be able to use them, and finally I got to do that. So I did that, and then I had to basically record gunshots for every card game, Infinity Ward wise, with card 4 and up. That was something that I was quite lazy with because I didn't really know if I wanted to do the whole shooting out in the air at first. So I tested it out with Modern Warfare 2 to basically get a feel of how it now would look like if I do it. So I did that with Modern Warfare 2. It actually didn't sound too bad, and from there I just went with it and decided to go through with the whole song. And I considered maybe doing it with only one Call of Duty game, but then I thought, well, why not just split this song up into parts as well, where I can focus on each Call of Duty game from Infinity Ward, from card 4 and up, given that I already owned them. So that is what I did. I decided to start with Modern Warfare 2 and keep it like it now was for the most part, and then I would eventually require shots from Modern Warfare 2 recorded with some specific guns because I needed that, because I wanted a little bit more variety. So you will see some favela clips as well quickly thrown in there from the PC version, and besides that it's all pretty much old clips. But basically I had to record gunshots for every card game after the Modern Warfare 2 part was done, and I felt like it wasn't sounding too bad with the syncing part, so I went on to continue with Ghost first because Ghost was something that I could do and I wouldn't have to switch consoles. So that is why I did that. Same thing with Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered. So I did that. It took hours and hours and hours because I have to create classes, start up a private match in hardcore mode, etc. Find a good spot, shoot out in the air, and do that a few times just in case I need more shots that could sound a little different. So that is what I did, and boy oh boy did it take me at least 5 hours in total, I think, with all those different Call of Duty games. I believe each one took me at least an hour, and then some of them took me 1.5. So it really took a lot of time, and I wasn't really prepared for that. But before going into that, I was actually even considering to do something with this whole Infinity War Call of Duty thing, throwback-ish sort of sync. I was actually also considering to go through with every map in the games that I now could, base game wise and also DLC, because I thought it would be cool to do that as well. But I'm really glad I didn't do that eventually because it was so time consuming just doing it in one map. So yeah, that is why you only see one location with every Call of Duty game besides Modern Warfare 2. Then there's also attachments and camos. I obviously went with that for a reason, which is that I didn't really want to do things like most others that I've seen so far, Call of Duty wise at least, because a lot of them shoot with naked guns, no attachments or camos. Sometimes they do, other times they don't. Then there's also sometimes where they will have a silencer equipped or something, but I didn't really feel like I wanted to do it like that because I felt like having customized my gun a bit more would make that sync a little more different than the others in some ways. I don't know why I felt that, but yeah, that was what I thought. So that is why I went with camos, the same one which is winter themed usually, besides Modern Warfare 3 and COD 4. But winter themed was the goal with the camos, and hollow sight and grip was also a goal to have on each and every gun if possible. If not, then an uptick of some sort, because Modern Warfare Remastered, for example, doesn't have grip attachments for every gun for the most part in the primary class or weapon category. Same thing in the original COD 4. Modern Warfare 3 was a different story, so I went with grenade launcher because there is no grip either. Modern Warfare 2 was something that I couldn't have a grip or a hollow sight on because I didn't have any attachments unlocked due to it saving between your profile going online playing against others in a normal match and also when you go into a custom match. So it kind of limits me there with attachment customization because I didn't attachment hunt that much due to me getting into a prestige tag lobby, so I would actually just reach max rank. It didn't really unlock all the attachments or camos for me either, so that kind of stinks, and because of that I gave up because I couldn't level up anymore, and I usually need a reason to play Call of Duty. and leveling up your guns these days or your player profile is a much needed one for me to continue playing it, so it kind of killed it off for me there. And then with the PC version, I could have actually have done it if I actually decided to go through with this sort of shooting out in the air back then, like a month or two ago, but sadly I prestiged recently, so I lost all my attachment progress, and yeah, that is why I don't have hollow sights equipped and all that sort of stuff in Modern Warfare 2. So that's a shame in some ways, but it is what it is. It's not because it makes a huge difference, but I wanted to have an attachment at least in every gun if possible, and even in Modern Warfare 2 it should somewhat showcase it as well with red dot or grenade launcher quickly if I had that unlocked, or what the heck do I know. Rapid fire wasn't really something you can see, but yeah, I tried to have something for most guns. And snipers, I was considering ACOG, but I decided to go with the scope that it now comes with, because obviously it wouldn't really look like a sniper without that, so that is why I didn't change it and just left that one like it now is in every Call of Duty game. But yeah, moving on to the next thing is also the effort with structure that I now put into it. There isn't really much there either. I really actually randomized it as much as I could because I wasn't really sure how to approach this whole syncing stuff, shooting out in the air, because it's hard to figure out when to use this gun or that gun for every single little beat. So for me, I went with shotguns quickly, maybe sometimes putting some little structure there with some certain parts fitting more with the song, having a shotgun sound being used here or there, and same thing goes with snipers. But besides that, I didn't have much structure put into this sync or a plan or organized it that well. The only thing that I really focused on was actually to have guns being changed up and use every gunshot if possible with these different Call of Duty games, so that I get to use them and I didn't record them for nothing, but also to have something different to look at, I guess, so that it isn't always the same two guns maybe shooting at a certain part because it may seem more fitting, or what the heck do I know. I really wanted to mix things up and put as many guns in there and have, for the most part, every single gun being different with every single beat that would come here and there. So that's why you see that there's a change in guns all the time. So yeah, that's that. And COD 4 was actually really tough to sync for because the sounds there are really similar to each other, and there wasn't really a big variety as I'd hoped it would have, which kind of made the silenced weapons, especially when I would use those gunshots, feel the same for the most part multiple times in a row with different guns. It really was hard to balance that one out. The P90 was a difference compared to the SMGs shooting in general for the most part that really stood out. Then we have pistols sounding all the same with the M9 and the USP, so it was really hard to figure out what to do, but I decided to just go with whatever I now could remember that was a little different so that it wouldn't sound the same, and then try and mix it up so that it would sort of give a difference in sound every time, and hopefully it worked out. But yeah, that should be all for the syncing stuff that I want to mention. I may include a video at the end with the syncing with the first attempt after I started it all up, where I would only have the Modern Warfare 2 clips recorded in Afghan and basically put in AK-47 silence shot towards the end of that little mini syncing part to have something to look at least, so that it wouldn't only be black frames and nothing to sync with there. So the AK silence shots at the end, it is just replacers while I would figure out what could be potentially being put in there as gunshots. Then I did put in a Barrett shot with the Modern Warfare 3 part quickly with the sound pack one that I downloaded. Then afterwards I would put in Modern Warfare 2 right after, actually, because I was moving it out of the Modern Warfare 2 part to try and figure out where maybe I could place a Barrett 50 cal shot into that syncing part. Sadly, I never could find a good place for it. But with that said, I'm gonna move on to the walkthrough stuff now, quickly talking about that. And it is basically to announce the next game that I now want to record. I want to basically start up The Walking Dead now, because that is something I considered, and also something I mentioned in my last commentary, or if not, then the second last. I don't remember exactly when, but that is something that I've considered, and I feel like I should do it because I really want to play through the final season of The Walking Dead, and having played through the demo, I really enjoyed that one, gameplay wise a bit more. So I want to do that, and before I can do it, I gotta somewhat catch up with the story, I feel like. So I'm gonna play through the whole thing, focus on season 1, 2, A New Frontier, which is basically free, and then Michonne and 400 Days will be something that I will also focus on, but not put as much priority into because it's not gonna affect the whole main series, I guess. So mainly 1, 2, and 3, and then DLC will come as well with 400 Days at least, and then Michonne, I'm not sure when it will be uploaded. I gotta figure that one out. Maybe it may be something that will come after the the final season or something like that. I don't know. We'll see with that one, but in particular, the main season will be the focus. So SOCOM 4 is done, Walking Dead is next, the whole series, then potentially also Ghost Recon Future Soldier after that. But right now I'm just gonna focus on The Walking Dead, so yeah, that should be pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching if you did stick around for this long, and yeah, hopefully I will see you guys on the next one.